Okay, good afternoon and welcome to a PlotWatt current event. I am Nanette Kirsch and I will be your host for today's webinar. We are pleased today to host KFC's own Leslie Sharp for Power Up Your Profits. Leslie is owner of L&G Sharp. She has 4 KFC restaurants in Kentucky and 2 of them are using PlotWatt. She is co-chair of the AKFCF PAC, as well as past president of the Southeast KFC Franchisee Association, the largest and oldest association, which celebrates its 50th anniversary this year. Congratulations to all of you who are members of that group. A few minor housekeeping items as we get started. The formal portion of today's event will last about 20 or 25 minutes, and we will take up to 15 minutes for Q&A. If you'd like to ask Leslie a question, you can submit it using the Q&A window on the bottom left of your screen. Only I will be able to see your question. And if you are a Twitter user, we encourage and invite you to tweet about what you're hearing and learning today using hashtag PWKFC. I had an opportunity to interview Leslie in preparation for today's webinar. And so we are going to spend some time talking about her experience and perspective as both a franchisee and a PlotWatt customer. So let's get started. First, Leslie, can you talk a little bit about what fuels your passion for what you do? You have a long legacy with KFC.
Yes, I do. Hello, everyone. So, yeah, my father, I'm actually second generation, which I don't really know who's on this call, but I'm sure many of them have heard my story before. But my father actually started with Colonel Sanders in 1966. And I guess you can see on the screen there, that was a picture of me sitting on the Colonel's lap, and my father is to the Colonel's left there in 1979. So, yes, it does run deep. My father passed away 10 years ago, but I officially took over as a franchisee about 15 years. So
When we
you want me to
about
continue
your,
on? Okay.
I think if you could speak a little bit about your families. When we spoke, you talked about kind of having 3 KFC families.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, of course, there's the legacy there, my father being second generation. But what we were speaking about, what I was telling you about the other day, is the KFC family in general. We really are the franchisee community. We are a family. And I really consider my fellow franchisees and the people that work alongside this business with me as family members, our vendor suppliers, such as PlotWatt as well. And then my team. My team members, they're a part of my family as well. I have great team members, a lot of tenure, and that's actually very common in the KFC system. We're blessed with that. My story isn't really different than probably a lot of people listening on this call. I have one gentleman that's been with us 40 years this July. He'll be celebrating his 40th year. And then it just goes down from there, 27 years, 15 years, 10 years. We've got a lot that's been with us 10 years plus. So we're really fortunate in that realm.
I think that's remarkable. It says a lot about the business and about the employees that you work with. And with those priorities in mind, how do you decide on improvements or services for your business?
Okay. Well, like we talked about, I see now you put that quote up on the screen there. It's sort of our philosophy, and it's always been my philosophy, that when I'm looking at something for the back of the house, of course, we are in a for-profit business, so I'm looking for something that does save me money, but I'm also looking for something that adds some kind of value to the back of the house. And we talked about earlier in the week, Annette, that I feel like my team members, my employees, my team members are my number one asset. And so when I'm judging something or evaluating something for the back of the house, I want to know how it's going to improve their quality, how it's going to help them, because they're my front line. They're the ones that are dealing with our guests 40 plus hours a week. So I just want to make sure that we have quality and savings.
Great. So tell us a little bit about PlotWatt and what led you to consider PlotWatt for your business.
Okay. Well, as it says there, looking through the P&Ls each month, and I do a manager's P&L, and we sit down. We have weekly meetings, but then we have monthly meetings as well. And as we were looking through there, one line item really stood out, and that was utilities. And it seems like over these past, gosh, I don't know, well, I guess over the past 5 or 6 years, they have really risen in cost. And I'm sure probably I'm paying attention to it a lot more because our profit margins have really shrunk and decreased. And since we all had that unprecedented hit 2008 and beyond, it's something that we look at, and our profit margins have decreased steadily. So I was looking at that. Utilities stood out. My work on the Government Affairs Committee, going up to Washington, D.C. and lobbying, learning a little bit about that told me that utilities are not going down anytime soon. So that is one area that is not going to be dropping in cost. So we started investigating, looking at it. I want to say it was going up probably about 2 to 3% or more per year when I looked back and compared how it had risen. So it was very eye-opening for me. So.
Absolutely. So what was your understanding of how PlotWatt could help that problem?
Well, I got introduced to PlotWatt, I guess, let's see, we're in 2015. It was around November of 2013. I met someone from PlotWatt at one of our regional meetings, and he explained it to me like I had never really heard it before. I know that there have been programs like this before in the system, or other companies that have tried to come in and do something like this. But the way that he explained it to me, and Allison Arpin, she's with PlotWatt, she's on the call. She could probably give a much better description than myself. But I just know that this company was founded from two, I believe, I don't know exactly what they are. I know they're PhDs, but they have a very extensive background. If you want to jump in, Allison, you can. But I did some research on the company. I could see that it was solid. They described it was like sonar, like underneath the water. And I'm not a very technical person, so people who know me know that. But sort of, it goes out from the outlet. This technology, it goes on your electrical box in the back of the house, first of all. That's how it's installed. So it's not intrusive at all. They just install it on your electrical box. But then it sends out something, I guess it's waves, and it goes to each individual outlet so that it can monitor exactly what like down to the outlet of what it's doing. And the way, I know I'm not making much sense, but the way that he explained it to me, and you could talk to the PlotWatt people about it, it really made sense to me. So, and also too, talking about that franchise community and our family, I knew a couple franchisees who are way more technical than I am up in the Northeast, and they were already using this in their restaurants, and they were seeing great results. And, that's sort of how we were built, one franchisee sharing a best practice with the other, And so I trusted that, and I kind of trusted the research. I trusted who founded this company and their background, and I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. So.
And when we spoke, you made some interesting comments about bringing this into your restaurants and what you thought was important to making it work, and the importance of the behavioral elements. So can you talk a little bit to that, and how your stores responded, and what you think was key to creating the change?
Yeah. Okay. So absolutely. When he explained to me all the technical stuff of how it worked, then of course you implement it, you put it into the restaurant. Over my years of experience, I found that you can put mini services or pieces of equipment or bells and whistles in the back of your house. I'm getting a lot of feedback right now, Nanette. I don't know what happened. Okay. Can you still hear me? Hello? All right. Can you still hear me?
Yep, go ahead. Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. So I don't know what happened. But anyway, you can put a lot of bells and whistles in the back of the house. You can put as many services in the back of the house as you want. But if you do not get people to modify their behavior or change their behavior, then you will not get results. because we rely on human beings and people to actually implement the things that we put in the back of the house. So you have to have behavior modification in order for anything to work. That's just my personal belief in our restaurants. So as PlotWatt was explaining to me what they did, they actually send you out an email each morning. And I don't know if you're going to go on into this, you might a little later in the presentation, but they send you out an email that literally takes probably 30 seconds. Yeah. And so, we had already known, if I'd sit down with my managers and say, hey, how do we reduce our utility cost, or what do we do? They would give me sort of the Sunday school answer of, oh, well, we just stagger things in the morning. Just stagger things as you turn them on in the morning. And we had always kind of said that, but we really never had anything to judge that, or to do that, or to basically modify that behavior. So we weren't really getting any results. And so then when PlotWatt explained to me that they send you the email each morning, it's a reminder, it takes literally 15 seconds to read, and then you change the action. That's when I became very interested in PlotWatt. It wasn't just something that you put in the back of the house and then it gave you the results. I knew that just doesn't happen. And so when I found out that they work so closely with the individuals in the restaurant, the behavior modification, that's what really piqued my curiosity. So, and people resist change all the time. So especially when they've been there a long time, they resist change. So it is difficult to create that sustained change unless you're having these daily reminders.
So one of our attendants asked if you can sort of incorporate my questions into your response, because they are having a hard time hearing me, but not you, which is good.
Okay.
So can we talk a little bit more about the behavior changes you've seen with PlotWatt, some of the maybe specific things that have happened at store level, and expand a little bit more on those email tips and the usability for your employees?
Okay. So Nanette asked me, for those who can't hear or having a hard time, to expand on the emails that you get from PlotWatt. So that was one of the things I really like. You get an email each morning, and she has it up on the screen right now. So, well, go back to that screen.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. So this is what will come in to your email, and you can have it sent to your restaurants as well. So I have, for example, I have it sent to each of my restaurants. They look at it each morning, and then I have it sent to myself. And so you'll see there it says PlotWatt score 6. The ideal score is a 10. So as you see this program work for you, of course, you'll see the savings, and we can, I think we're going to go into that in a little bit, but you'll see the savings, but you will see your score increase. So you may start at a 6, but your goal is to get up to a 10 and then to sustain that for a certain amount of time. And for example, just last week, one of my restaurants, I just pulled it up here on my phone, I'm looking at it, one of my restaurants obtained a 10 as of last week. And we put this in, I guess, last fall, and they are sustaining it. So your score goes up as you begin to change the behaviors in the back of the restaurant. They're very short emails. They're actionable. They tell you exactly what to do, or they give you hints about maybe a certain piece of equipment that needs to be looked at. She had one up on the screen, but I'll read you today. Today said for one of my restaurants that's at the 10, it says, check the thermostat for AC4. It's been running a lot overnight lately. Now, I bring this up because my right-hand guy, the guy, my area coach I was telling you about, has been with us 40 years. He and I were talking about PlotWatt, and I should have written some of his quotes down, but, he said we're tickled to death with it. And he reminded me of a compressor that had been running overtime, and PlotWatt was able to identify that, and we were able to take care of that before it actually went out on us. So those are other things that this service is able to do for you. I've heard stories of people being able to see their freezer before it goes out. That's one thing PlotWatt explained to me when I started this. They said machines and equipments are sort of like humans. They get a cold, and it progresses, let's say, before they die. Well, same thing with your freezer, your compressors, your coolers, all that kind of stuff. it starts showing symptoms before it just completely dies, and then boom, you've lost all your food. So she's trying to keep up with me. It's not easy. Sorry. So anyway, sorry if I'm making you go on there, but on the screen there. But okay. So yeah, we found out that our freezer was failing, avoided product loss. Yeah. It's something very simple. The managers can do. They don't take much time. They're targeted tips. I'm trying to think. Let's see what else. Is that sort of? Do you want me to expand any more? Or
No, I
is
think
that
that
pretty good
covers
on
that
that?
part. I think talking about, you mentioned the results and the fact that you had recently achieved a perfect 10. I think one of the important things that you could touch on here would be the importance of the reinforcement of that and your engagement with your team to help them understand that you're watching and get the results that you'd like.
Right, yeah. So, like I said, I have the email sent to me each morning. I read it, and then I will follow up on that. If it's, of course, something that needs to be taken care of right there, like this AC, I'll follow up on that immediately. Sometimes, of course, just give positive reinforcement. Hey, guys, you've improved the score since last week. Great job, those type of things. Or if we're just consistently, let's say, getting 6 or 7s, or there's a consistent problem. So I keep getting from PlotWatt, hey, check this, check this. One thing is flipping on the warmers in the morning. PlotWatt will say something like, other restaurants of your volume are able to turn on this piece of equipment at 9 a.m., but we see you're turning it on at 8 a.m., So I'm able to follow up on that with the restaurants at the restaurant level. So that's very helpful,
Great.
actually.
Great.
And also,
And
too,
what's the
PlotWatt
value of,
does give.
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Leslie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say they give a lot of positive reinforcement as well, which is something that I really liked because, as everyone on this call probably knows, when you put a piece of equipment in, it's usually on us to handle maintaining that, of course, and doing the reinforcement. But PlotWatt will actually send, great job, or you guys did a great job last week or last night, or handling this or doing that, or if they see improvements, they monitor that as well. Great job, staggering the warmers, because that's something we've been working on. So I think that's kind of neat from a supplier vendor partner standpoint. So go ahead, sorry.
And I think you touched on this a little bit, but I think one other point there would be about the time commitment that it takes for you, that how much time are you spending in a day dealing with your electricity expenses?
A couple minutes or less, seriously. And it doesn't take up much time at all. And I asked, they said that it would probably take about, PlotWatt said it would probably take, I think it was about 30 days, or in their experience, they've seen it takes about 4 to 6 weeks for restaurants and for the management team to really catch on that, oh, okay. So at the beginning, I was really reinforcing it and, going about it. And then after that time frame, when you start to see things change, when you start to see, you go through your P&Ls and you see that, oh, hey, I really did save $300 this month. Or you start to see, you get a service tech out there and he says, yeah, your freezer's about to die or the compressor's about to go out. Then, of course, they're reinforced by that. And so they continue on. So, but no, it doesn't take much time.
And that's probably a part that everyone here is interested in hearing about, is what the value of those perfect 10s are to your business. Are you seeing those savings translate, or those scores translate into your bottom line?
Yeah, absolutely. We did. We saw it in the first month. We saw an improvement in the P&L and the electricity bill. I'm curious because I don't see it in this presentation, and I can pull it up if you need me to. But Allison had my actual savings in a spreadsheet, and I'm going to see if I can retrace that. Or Allison, are you on there? Do you have that?
I am, yeah. So in your first 3 months,
enable her
you went
audio.
from,
I don't think we have it
and
enabled
forgive
right
me, I
now.
don't have
will
the
enable
exact
that as
numbers
kind
right
of
in
the
front
first
of me,
item
but
in our Q&A.
you went
and give her an
from
opportunity
about
to share some of that
$150
if
a month
any.
per store savings to somewhere around $250 to $275 per month.
So just one more question, and then
savings
we
per
will
store.
open up
To
to questions
the last
from the
savings
floor.
report was actually
Really, the most important
$375 per
question, I
month
think,
per
is
store,
would you
which is
recommend PlotWatt to your KFC
really
franchise
excellent
family?
for a
And
KFC.
if so,
So
what
your
advice
stores
do you give them
seem to be
as
very highly
successful as you have
engaged,
been
which
with
is
it?
exactly what we like to see. And because of that, we're really seeing great results with your 2 stores.
Okay, I don't know if anybody else caught that, but you two were speaking at the same time. That's what I heard.
Okay,
So,
I didn't hear
you know,
Allison.
okay.
I just heard static.
Okay. That's all right. So, hold on. Then I guess since you both can hear me, Allison will hold on that, I think, is what Nanette was saying. And then we'll go back to what she has, and then we can go back and do that again, because that's really important, talking about the savings. And I'm pulling up my email too, but sorry about that, guys. I don't know.
Okay,
So
that's
what were you
okay.
saying, Nanette? Okay, go ahead.
So just as a final question before we do talk about some of those savings numbers was just to ask if you would recommend PlotWatt to your KFC franchisee family, and if so, what advice do you offer them to be as successful as you have been?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I would recommend PlotWatt. Like I said, I don't know of anything in our restaurants as far as cost-wise these days that are going down. Not much. Everything is rising, including and especially our utility expenses. And so I absolutely would recommend it. I am seeing a savings. How to be successful with it, I think, not to sound like a broken record, but it really does go back to just modifying the behavior. I just can't stress enough. So often we put something in our restaurant and we just expect for it to work miracles, but it's really the people. I mean, that's what makes anything work or run usually is the people. And so just, monitoring your emails, doing the positive reinforcement, staying on top of that, which really doesn't take a whole lot of time at all. And yeah, it says there on the screen, be committed to it. Absolutely. Just modify it, but they'll modify on their own. If you as a franchise owner are just committed to following up on a few emails each week, it's just like anything else. What you're committed to, what's important to you is going to be important to them. So if you just take a couple minutes, a few times a week, follow up on an email, have a discussion about it, then of course your restaurant, your team members will see that it's important to you. And then when they start seeing the results on their bottom line, then it becomes even more important. So.
Excellent. Okay, well, I'd like to invite people who may have joined partway through our webinar to submit any questions that you have for Leslie using the Q&A window at the bottom. And Allison, I think your audio is enabled, and so I wanted to give you an opportunity to respond to the savings topic that came up.
Yeah.
Right. So what it looks like, Leslie, I have the numbers here in front of me, and your stores actually have been very engaged, which is great. So these savings numbers have been really stellar. So within the first 4 months of working with PlotWatt, you had 1 month where average savings per store was $153 for the month. The next month after that, the average was $293 per store. And then on the last savings report, your stores actually saved an average of $375 per store, which is really, really excellent for a KFC, and it shows that your stores are really paying attention and are really engaged, which we love.
Yeah. Yeah, I pulled that up. I pulled up your email as well. And yeah, she's right. Average of $375 this last month. And also in there, that includes one time over the first 3 months that we were able to catch the walk-in freezer as it was going down in one of my restaurants. So, we could have had a potential inventory loss there, and they were able to catch that. And just as recent, and this was sort of actually kind of surprising to me, but it just reinforced that this is being looked at all levels, at the PlotWatt level and at our level. Like last week when we had the major snowstorm here and we got upwards to 20 inches, there were a couple days there that PlotWatt actually sent us the tips the next day or whatever that said your parking lot lights were on all day or your outdoor signage was on all day. Now, I'm sure, they didn't know that we had the snowstorm or whatever, but it reminded me that this is real-time data. They really are looking at this and monitoring this because, yes, we did have our outdoor lights on all day because it was snowing and very dreary and all of that. But it just it kind of caught me by surprise, but pleasantly surprised that this is real-time data that you're getting. So, any questions or anything? Hello?
There are a couple of questions just about employee response and reaction. If you saw a similar response across your employee base, particularly, I guess, between the two stores, did they both embrace it equally well?
Yeah, actually they did. You can even make it to, I have it sent out to where it's a little bit of a competition because we all know how our restaurants do like to have a healthy competition between each other. So when that one restaurant hit a 10 last week, I made sure I jumped on that and sent that to all the restaurants, just, giving them positive praise and reinforcement and letting them know that this particular restaurant got a 10. Yeah, as far as the employee level, like down to the team member level, this is something, like I said, that goes on your electrical box. They probably won't even really know that it's there. It's the managers that are the ones who are reinforcing this, who are directing the cooks, the team members, the dishwashers, whoever it is that's responsible for basically everyone in the restaurant that's responsible for maybe flipping on equipment or taking care of things like that. But the managers are really the ones, and the assistant managers, that are implementing this program.
And this is a good question about the installation. Was it an invasive process? Was it disruptive to your business?
No, they send out someone in your area. I guess they contract with an electrician in your area, and he or she just comes in to your electrical box and does the stuff back there, and you don't even have to worry about it. That person deals directly with PlotWatt. So I know we had a little something. They had to come back the next day or whatever, but we didn't even have to worry about any of that. They were dealing directly with PlotWatt the whole time. So.
And are the savings ongoing? Did you see that they were greater at the beginning and then they've diminished once you learned what behaviors to follow, or are they ongoing?
Well, we have been on, I guess, for 4 months now, like completely on the program. I think the program takes, and Allison can answer this exactly, but I believe they watch your restaurants for a while and sort of capture trends and the data, for, I don't know if it's a 4 to 6 week period or whatever. But then you actually go on the program and you start getting the email updates each day. So yeah, the first month was $153 all the way up until now. Month 3, month 4, we're at close to $400 savings. So we have seen that go up each month. Now, is it going to plateau? If we stay at a 10, let's say, for the next 6 months, I don't know. Allison might be able to, still $400 a month is quite a bit of savings. She might be able to speak to that. I just know that from my standpoint, there's always things that you can do, like, for example, the freezer that was going down, or now this AC4 that was running all night. Those are other types of things that this technology captures that are ongoing, I guess you would say. Allison, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so usually what we see is exactly what your results have been. So there's a ramp up period. So the first month is not going to be the maximum savings that you can achieve with PlotWatt because there's a learning curve. And so what we do see is generally that ramp up time period where you have months where each subsequent month is going to be a little bit higher, but you do reach a point sort of steady savings. It fluctuates a little bit. Some of that is seasonality. You're running air conditioning in the summer and there's potential there, but in the spring and the fall there may not be as much savings from the air conditioning, say. And so you do see seasonal fluctuations, but after the first few months, usually you see sort of the steady state savings.
Okay.
Okay. And then one final question, I think. Your typical ROI for other investments that you've made in your business versus what you're seeing with PlotWatt and the bottom line impact. How would you compare it with other things you've done in your business?
And it's a good question. I would say that it is definitely up there, and probably the top 5 things that we've implemented to where we really have seen a return on our investment. And it's been pretty immediate as well. Did not have to wait, for example, 2 years until a piece of equipment was paid off or whatever. We're actually seeing the savings. So yeah, I don't have any scientific data to answer that question, but that is a good question. But I guess in my unscientific way, I would say it definitely ranks up there in one of the best things we've put in the back of the house as far as actually getting results. So, and I was a little
that concludes our event.
So.
We were able to keep to our target time, so I'm grateful for that. And we thank you for joining us, Leslie. Really appreciate your time and your sharing of your experiences. And thank you to all of you who joined.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you all.